Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm filming a little bit later in the day, so the light has gone incredibly weird. It's both kind of sunset and mega cloudy out right now, so apologies if the lighting is awful, but if you watch my videos on the regular, I'm pretty sure you probably got over good lighting years ago. Today I thought I would do a video that I have never done before, and that is a 5-star predictions pile 5-star predictions video thing. I don't know what it's actually called. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen videos like this before floating around BookTube though, because I'm pretty sure I'm the last person to jump on this bandwagon, but this was a video idea originally created, of course, by the lovely Mercedes. Basically what I did was look at my shelves and pull 5 books that I think I will probably give 5 stars to. And I want to caveat that by saying that I am a terrible predictor of 5-star reads. I can pick 4 stars like no other, but I'm really bad at picking 5-star reads simply because I don't have a great way of like quantifying what makes a 5-star read, if that makes sense. And actually I'm just realizing that this is a very odd video to do because I'm no longer sharing my star ratings with you guys, but I am still star rating on Goodreads, so let's just say these are books that I'm expecting to love and gush about and recommend to you guys. There. That probably covers all my bases. The first book on my stack here is The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa, and this was translated from the original Japanese by by Stephen Snyder. Keep in mind, because I have not actually read these books yet, I don't actually know a whole lot about them, even though they have been sitting on my shelves and I probably should know a little bit more than I do. This one I do know is about a brilliant professor who is so very good with math and yet has a real hard time with his memory, and so he hires this housekeeper to kind of take care of his daily life, take care of things that he doesn't ever really remember to handle. I read the first couple of pages of this and absolutely loved the writing style, and from what I can tell, it's gonna be the kind of Japanese literature that I really crave during the summer. It's gonna be kind of quiet, it's gonna be very character focused, not so heavy on the plot, and it has gorgeous writing, at least from what I've read so far. So I do have really high hopes for this one. At the same time, I'm a little apprehensive to get into this one, simply because I don't know yet if it's going to be like a good ending or a sad ending, and I have, you know, things with memory loss are a little hard for me to read because my family has a serious history with Alzheimer's disease, so yeah, I don't know, I'm always a little hesitant when it comes to memory loss. It hits a little close to home, but hopefully this is as beautiful as I think it's gonna be. I'm hoping that this one gives me similar feels to how I felt about the Nakano thrift shop last year. I'm actually realizing I have a bit of an unintentional theme here because 3 of the 5 books I pulled are Japan related, so I guess that's what I consider a 5-star read. So the next book I have here is The Thousand Autumns of, I think it's Jacob de Zoet by David Mitchell. Now, I have only previously read one David Mitchell book. I read Number 9 Dream in 2016, I think, and absolutely loved it. Number 9 Dream was quite weird, and from what I understand, this is a little bit more straightforward, though because it's David Mitchell, I'm sure it's not completely straightforward, but this one is historical fiction. It follows a young clerk from Holland who comes to Japan in 1799 and kind of encounters a disfigured midwife to the city's powerful magistrate, and I think that kind of flips his ideas of getting rich quick on their head. We shall see how this goes. I've had this on my shelves for probably 2 or 3 years now, which is a crime. So I'm really looking forward to this. Really have high hopes for this, which is, I feel like, a little risky given that I have only read one David Mitchell book before. However, one of the things that really impressed me about Number 9 Dream is that he didn't really feel like a foreigner writing a book set in Japan with Japanese characters. He actually, it read very much like actual Japanese literature, so I'm really curious to see what he does with Japan in this different viewpoint. So we shall see. The last Japan-related book that I hope will be a 5-star read is The Foxwoman by Keij Johnson. Now, if you are a longtime subscriber, you will know that I absolutely loved her other book, Fudoki, which is set, I believe, in the same general world. It's like a medieval Japan. Fudoki was about a young let me try that again. Fudoki is about a young cat who turns into a human woman and then becomes a fearsome, well-renowned warrior. And this one is about, I believe, a fox who is very curious about humans and about a human who is very curious with foxes. I am so ready to get into this. I cannot believe that I have not read this yet. I think I know what it is. Basically, I loved Fudoki so much that I didn't want to dive back into that kind of magical world that Keach Johnson creates, this kind of magical historical world, and then be disappointed. So I'm hyping this up for myself because I really want to pick this up sooner rather than later. It's also probably risky to assume that this one's going to be a 5-star read because, as I remember, I loved Fudoki, but it was just missing that little bit of extra oomph that would have bumped it up to a 5-star read, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. So I'm hoping that this one can capture whatever magic that Fudoki had and then some to bump it up to a 5-star read. I also have a classic on this list, which is North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. Now, I read Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell last year and absolutely loved it. It ended up being one of my favorite books of the year, if not maybe my favorite book of the year, and I have therefore really high hopes for this one. I have seen the miniseries before, so I am familiar with the story. It's about a young woman named Margaret who moves from the kind of rural south of England to the north where you know, they're experiencing more of an industrial revolution, and where she falls in love with a mill owner named Mr. Thornton. If you have not yet seen the miniseries, hopefully all I need to say to convince you is that Mr. Thornton is played by Richard Armitage. There you go. Go forth and be blessed. I do know that some people refer to North and South as kind of Pride and Prejudice plus the Industrial Revolution, which I do think is fair, at least based on how the miniseries presents the story, but I also know that this is probably one of Gaskell's most well-loved books, and based on my experience reading Wives and Daughters, she builds so much more nuance and detail into each one of her characters than you could ever portray in a miniseries that I really do have high hopes for this, and I do think it's going to be like an absolute perfect read. I think it's official. My expectations for this one are way too high. And then, because of the way that my reading year has been going so far, I did not think it would be right to round out this list without at least one political memoir, which I think will be a 5-star read, and that is The World as It Is: Inside the Obama White House by Ben Rhodes. Maybe I just listened to too many political podcasts, but this book has seriously been making the rounds. I honestly think I've listened to at least 4 or 5 interviews with Ben Rhodes. I recently purchased this on audio, and I honestly cannot wait to dive into it, simply because I think it's going to provide a completely different perspective from everything else that I have read so far this year. Yes, he is going to talk a little bit about policy, and yes, we're going to get a look at the Obama presidency, but what I'm most excited about is looking at life as a White House staffer. You know, that's not a perspective I have read from before, and Ben Rhodes in particular, I know, received a lot of public backlash based on some international foreign policy decisions that he was a part of. So I think it'll be a really fascinating read. I think it'll be a good reminder that the people who do work in the White House, even if we don't agree with them, they are human, and they do deserve to be treated with at least some measure of decency and respect. I guess assuming that they earn and deserve that respect. Unless all of the podcasts and all of the interviews have hyped me up too far, I do think this one will be a 5-star read. So those are my 5-star TBR predictions, my 5-star book predictions. I really should have looked at what these videos are called before I went ahead and filmed one. If you guys have read any of these books and you would like to let me know how they ranked for you down in the comments below, I would love to hear that. I specifically would like to know, if they did not rank high for you guys, what was it that put you off of them? But otherwise, whatever you have to say, let me know. And with that, I'm gonna wrap it up here before the lighting gets even weirder. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you next time. Bye.